Today I'm going to be sharing with you my foundation collection and doing a mini review of every single one of them. I've done quite a few top 5 foundation posts on my blog, and I've done some comparison foundation videos here on my YouTube channel, and you guys seem to really like my foundation reviews. So today I thought I would show you all of my foundations, everything I have in my possession, and tell you what I think about every single one of them. I won't be going into a lot of detail about every single one of them because otherwise this video is going to be too long, but most of these I have dedicated reviews on my blog, and I'll leave the links to any reviews that I have about these foundations below, and you guys can go and check it out if you're interested in any of them. There might be some foundations that I like that are not here, either because I've run out, or because I've misplaced them, or because I've given them away to other people, friends and family. And if you found my videos when you were looking for foundation reviews and you've watched a particular review that I did and that foundation is not here, it's not necessarily because I don't like them or because of whatever particular reason. It's probably because I've just run out of it or misplaced it. So I've got loads of foundations here in front of me, lots of drugstore but mostly high-end foundations. That's kind of my preference, and I'll start by saying what my skin type is like, what my skin color is like. I have dry skin with a tendency to pigmentation. I don't have an oily T-zone or any oiliness anywhere else on my face. I'm not acne prone. I have redness around my nose, some dry patches in between my eyebrows and around my nose as well. Now for my skin colour, although you are seeing me on camera, in real life things can look a little bit different. Maybe the camera exposes me a little bit too much or underexposes or gives a different tinge. In real life my skin is a medium olive tone with a neutral undertone. I used to think that I had a yellow undertone, but I actually don't, and whenever I try foundations with a yellow undertone they don't look as good on my skin as they do with a neutral undertone. So my skin is medium olive with a neutral undertone, and it can go to a deep medium olive when I have a bit of a tan. At the moment I don't have a tan at all, so my skin is probably at its lightest, and yeah, I can go maybe about 2 shades darker than this in the summer. I'm going to start with high street drugstore foundations and then move on to luxury high-end foundations. The high street foundations that I have on me are these, and I'm going to start with the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum Foundation. This is a gel foundation and it is one of my absolutely favourite high street foundations. It has a very lightweight texture. The shade that I have is number 53 Light Beige, and I have done a video demonstration of what this foundation looks like on camera on me. And it is a great foundation if you don't like anything too heavy, if you like a bit of a glow. It has a very subtle dewy finish, so you will not look completely matte. It will still be that kind of natural glow on your skin, and I really like it for day-to-day use. The only problem I have with this foundation is that I don't find that it lasts as long as it claims. It says 16 hours, radiance boost and even revived complexion, but I find that it lasts a lot less than 16 hours on me. I don't think I wear any foundation for that amount of time anyway, but it lasts less than some of my other foundations that I have here in my collection. But it's a great one for day-to-day use. If I just want to go out very quickly and I want to look presentable, this is great. Next is the L'Oreal Nude Magique Eau de Teint foundation, and I have a video review of this foundation as well. To be perfectly honest with you, after the first 2 or 3 months of wearing this foundation, I've never touched it again. This is a very liquidy foundation. You can shake it and you can hear it. Quite watery, and it separates very easily. It is a good foundation for the people who like the lightweight coverage and like the feeling of having nothing on your skin, because it really does blend beautifully and it doesn't leave any kind of residue on your skin. But I don't find that it's amazing at anything it does, and I find that other foundations do a better job. So I don't really have much to say about this foundation apart from the fact that I liked it, but it wasn't anything special to me, so it really did go to the back of my drawer, unfortunately. Another L'Oreal foundation you will see here that I tend to like L'Oreal foundations is the L'Oreal Infallible 24 Hours Matte Foundation, and the shade is Rose Beige. This one is a very recent favourite of mine and I still love it. It looks beautiful on the skin, really nice and perfected. It has a matte finish. If you like matte finish on foundations, I prefer matte finishes, so I really like the way that this looks on me. It's not the most natural looking because it's a heavier coverage foundation. You can get medium to high coverage with this one, And yeah, for me it is amazing. It does the job for daytime and for nighttime, for events, for going out. It's just really great, and it is budget friendly as well. So this is a good all-rounder for me from the drugstore. The last drugstore high street foundation I have is the L'Oreal Nutri Lift Gold Anti-Aging Serum Foundation, and the shades I have is 160 Rose Beige. And I discovered this foundation last year and I was obsessed with it. It is a very good nourishing foundation for your skin. It doesn't leave a matte finish, it leaves more of a glowy finish, and sometimes that glowy finish can be a little bit too glowy for me, and that's the reason why I don't wear it too often. But it does feel amazing on my skin. Feels really nourishing, really moisturizing, and because my skin is so dry, that really appeals to me. And it also has anti-aging properties, which is good. I like foundations that are hybrids between skincare and makeup, but they can cause a few problems. Sometimes I find that these ones that have serums in them, they can be a bit too slippery on my face. But I do feel like they do a good job at looking after my skin, you know, on the background, so that's quite nice. And I really like this foundation. I'm going to show you in a minute one foundation from high end that I think is a dupe to this one, and I really like this, highly recommended. Now I've got two foundations which are neither high end nor high street. They're kind of like a middle ground. High end for me are foundations that cost more than £20–30, and these ones cost a little bit less, but they're not in a high street as well. The first one is the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation, and this is in the shade 2.1. I bought this foundation on a whim. I had never tried anything from Smashbox and I wanted to treat myself to a new foundation, and I thought this one would be a good foundation, but it ended up being too heavy for me. If you want a heavy coverage foundation, you might like this, but for me it was just a little bit too much of a paste. I have foundations that can go up to a really high coverage, and I'm happier with how they look than I am with this foundation. I thought it looked too obvious, too cakey, too heavy on me, and the shade was slightly too warm for my skin, so didn't really get on with this one, would not repurchase it, and probably won't wear it again. Next, I have the MAC Face and Body Foundation in the shade C4, but at the moment I think I would go for shade C3 because I think C4 is a tiny little bit too dark for my skin at the moment. And this here is one of my all-time favorite foundations for a very lightweight, barely any makeup kind of look. And I was wearing this constantly after I gave birth to my son because I didn't want to put a load of makeup on my face. I just wanted something to make me look presentable whenever I needed to leave the house, and this did the job. It's the lightest foundation that I have. It's very liquidy. I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear the water. It does separate as well, so make sure that you shake it well before, shake it well before applying it to your face. I find it's really long lasting on me. I don't have to top up with any more foundation or to apply a powder to mattify or anything. The coverage is okay. It's very light, so if you need any more than a very light coverage, you're probably going to need to top up with some powder or something to give you a bit more coverage, maybe concealer or something like that. 120 mils foundation, so it will last you a long time. Now moving on to high end and where I have some of my most favorites. First of all, I have the Dior Airflash foundation, and this is a spray foundation. The shade I have is number 300. This is quite a unique foundation in my collection. It's the only one of its kind. It is an aerosol spray, so you've got to shake the can, you can hear, and then you spray it and the foundation goes on your face like a mist, and then you blend it with a brush and you're done. At first when I bought this I was obsessed and really in love with it. I really liked the way it looks, super flawless on my skin, and I still like that. If I need that kind of look, kind of really airbrush look, this is the foundation I'm going to go for. But it is a little bit too obvious on my skin. I find that the coverage, not the coverage, but the way that it looks on my skin looks a bit too heavy, so I would only wear this if it was for a night event or something that I needed my skin to look really perfected. It does reflect a little bit on flash, so I wasn't too sure about wearing this for any events where I'd be, you know, getting my photo taken with flash, so I'd be mindful of that. But it's a really good foundation that has kind of a unique effect on my skin that makes it look so airbrushed and perfected, almost like I've photoshopped my face. Then I have the Nars Sheer Glow Foundation, and this one I have in the shade Santa Fe Medium 2. And I've done a video review of this foundation, which seems to be very popular here on my channel. A lot of you find my channel via this foundation, and I still love this foundation. It is light to medium coverage in my opinion, sometimes a bit more on the medium side than on the light, but depending on how much I apply it, I can tailor the coverage, which is what's great about this foundation. It feels so lightweight on my skin, it doesn't separate, it lasts really well throughout the day. The reason why I don't wear it or I don't talk about it as often is because the shade is a little bit too light for my skin, and also because it doesn't have a pump. And a lot of you have commented on my video review of this foundation that you can buy a pump from Nars, and I probably should have, but I never got around to doing it. So I still don't have a pump on this foundation, which makes it quite inconvenient for me because I do always tend to pour out too much of it and I waste a lot of product. So yeah, I really like this foundation. I just wish that I had a pump for it, that I had bought a pump for it, and that I had a shade that wasn't as light. Maybe like half a shade darker would be better. I always tend to find that this makes me look a little bit too pale. Then I have the GIORGIO ARMANI Maestro Fusion Makeup Foundation, and the shade I have is 6.5, which is far too dark for me. I got given this as a press sample and I didn't get to choose the shades that I had. But it is a little bit too dark for me, and that's why I don't use it. This one is the one that I said was the dupe for the L'Oreal Nude Magique Eau de Teint foundation. They are pretty much the same foundation. They're both very liquidy, and they both, you know, kind of give you that I don't feel any makeup on my face kind of finish. But this one is, I find it slightly better. It lasts longer on the skin and it doesn't separate half as much as the L'Oreal Nude Magique does. And this is what you're paying the extra bit of money for. You're paying for the longevity, you're paying for the better formulation and all those things. And I like this foundation, but I don't think it's anything too special. I like it, but I'm a little bit about it, so I never really reach out for it. Then I have the GIORGIO ARMANI Luminous Silk Foundation, which is probably the foundation that I talk about the most on everywhere, my videos, on my blog, because it is my favorite foundation still. It is the all-in-one for me. The fail-safe foundation, the one that I can rely on for anything and everything. If I could only choose one foundation to have for the rest of my life, this would be the one that I'd go for. It's probably not the most natural looking foundation because something like the Bourjois Healthy Mix would be more natural, or the Nars Sheer Glow Foundation would be more natural, but I can get it looking natural on my skin. I can get it looking medium. I can get it looking high coverage. I can get pretty much every way that I want to wear this foundation on my skin, depending on how I apply it, which brush I use to apply it, and how much product I put on my face. So this is like my holy grail foundation. The shades I have two of those, is 3.5, which is my current shade for when my skin is a bit paler, and 5.5 for when I got a bit of a tan. And they both suit me perfectly, which for me is the difference between the GIORGIO ARMANI Luminous Silk Foundation and all the other foundations, is that the shades suit me perfectly. So when you have a foundation that the shade matches you so well, you really do not want to be considering going for other foundations, even though sometimes you prefer the way that one feels on your skin. Like I really like the way that the Nutri Lift Gold foundation from L'Oreal feels really like nourishing, but the shade is nowhere near as perfect of a match as these two GIORGIO ARMANI foundations are on my skin. This is a matte finish foundation, but it's not your traditional matte kind of like really flat finish. It's so luminous that it almost doesn't feel like matte, but it is a matte finish, which looks really good on photos. It doesn't have SPF, which is perfect for flash photography, so you don't get any flashback. I wore this foundation on my wedding day and it looked beautiful, and it lasted all day long. I got so many comments on how my makeup was lasting so well. I only topped up my foundation once throughout the whole of my wedding day, which started at about 6 o'clock in the morning when I did my makeup up until 1 o'clock in the morning the next day. And so I only had one top up in the middle of the day. I did my own makeup, so you know, it really did stand the test, the ultimate test, which was the wedding day test. So this is like my absolute favorite foundation. Then moving on, I've got YSL Le Teint Touche Eclat foundation. The shade I have here, I can barely see, is BD50, and this is way too dark for me, and that's the reason why I'm not wearing more of this foundation, because it's so dark. As you can see, compare it to the Nars Sheer Glow foundation, you can definitely see that it's so dark. But this is a very nice foundation. It feels so good on my skin. It is more of the creamier type of foundation. It feels a little bit more like the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum foundation. It's kind of a gel consistency. It's not like the Nutri Lift Gold, because this one with the serum in it feels quite squishy and slippery. This one doesn't feel like that, but it feels moisturizing. Not as much as this one, but you know, just like the right amount of moisturizing. So I really like this foundation. I wish I had a shade lighter, but I can't justify buying another one of these. I've got way too many foundations, as you can see, and this one is pretty full still. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be buying a lighter shade anytime soon. It used to be my favorite foundation for summertime, when I had a bit more of a tan in the summer. So hopefully if I get a tan again in the summer this year, I'll be able to wear it again. Then I have the Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua, and this is in the shade B40, and this is an empty bottle because I finished this foundation and I absolutely love this. When it comes to foundations that feel really light on your skin, this is the best of the bunch for me. Even better than the Nars Sheer Glow foundation, because I think that this one here, you can just dispense the right amount of product to get a good light coverage, but not too light that you feel like you need to go over again with a second layer of foundation. I always just apply one layer of this foundation because it seems to be the perfect amount of product. With the Sheer Glow foundation, sometimes I go over with another layer of foundation if I apply too little. It's quite liquidy as well, but once you shake it, it becomes really creamy. And the texture is slightly different to the Nars Sheer Glow foundation. The Sheer Glow is liquidy, but it never becomes creamy. It always is quite thin and quite watery. This one, once it's blended, it's quite creamy, which is nice. So I wore this foundation so much that I finished it, and I probably will buy another one of those just because I like it so much. But not at the moment. I'm going to wait until I run out of some of these foundations, but I highly recommend this if you're looking for a luxury foundation that looks quite nice on the skin with a light to medium coverage. It's a glowy finish, it's not matte finish, but it's not too glowy, and if you're not a fan of, like, you know, dewy or glowy finish, it's not all that noticeable. It just feels more nourishing, especially if you've got dry skin, than a matte finish. The last foundation in my collection is the by Terrybly Densiliss or Densiliss foundation, and this is the most expensive foundation that I own, and I left it for last for that particular reason, simply because it is an amazing foundation. What it does to my skin is just something that I've never felt with any other foundations. It sounds so deep, you know, never felt this before. It really is a foundation that looks after my skin like no other, and it is a hybrid between skincare and makeup, and this is like the best hybrid foundation that I've ever tried. It is very much like the Nutri Lift Gold foundation from L'Oreal, although the by Terry one lasts a lot longer and it's not as slippery as the L'Oreal foundation. But if you're looking for a dupe, I would try out this one and see how you get on with it first before investing in the by Terry one, because this is very expensive. I will put the price down below because I can't really remember how much I paid for it, but I just remember thinking this is a lot of money to pay for a foundation. Now, why is this not my favorite foundation of all time? Simply because it is not a matte finish, and it tends to get quite oily on my skin towards the end of the day. I don't really wear foundation, like I said, for that long anyway. I wouldn't wear it for more than 10 hours maybe. And when it gets to about 7 or 8 hours, maybe a bit less, 6 to 8 hours, it starts to look a bit oily on my skin. Nothing that a setting powder wouldn't fix, but if you're talking about all-time favorite foundations that last through anything, GIORGIO Armani Luminous Silk really is the complete package for me. And then by Terry gets like a good second best for what it does. This is, I would say, a medium coverage foundation, but it really does look really beautiful on your skin. My skin really looks so smooth and just so perfected with this without the cakey look of the Dior foundation. I said that this one looks airbrushed. This one looks like I have perfect skin naturally because it just makes my skin look really glowy and really flawless. It's just the foundation that makes my skin look the prettiest. But there are a few things that I don't like about it, such as the fact that it tends to get a bit oily towards the end of the day. But a great foundation nevertheless. I don't know if I would say that it's worth the money just because it's a lot of money, and I would never repurchase this again because I'm not crazy. And seeing that I've got so many more foundations here that I like and that do a similar job, I do not think I would repurchase this, but it is an amazing foundation. So these are all of my foundations currently in my collection. It might be a little bit excessive to have 14 foundations, seeing that I only have one face. But I am addicted to foundations. If there is one makeup product that I like, is foundation, and I like trying new ones. Whenever I feel like I need to switch things up a bit in my makeup, I always go for a new foundation, and this is like my addiction. I have probably done reviews of most of these foundations, and I'll leave all the links to all the reviews below that I've done because it might be helpful if you're looking to buy any of these foundations and you want to see or read a little bit more about them. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more videos from me, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!